Jihadi, a Kenyan and a research fellow with dual affiliations. Today I am honored to represent the Institute of Pharmacology and Toxicology at the University of Würzburg here in Germany, as well as Pwani University, a public university institution located in Kenya. Welcome to today's lecture on emerging pollutants in Kenya, an example of a country in the global south. This lecture will be in two parts, focusing on emerging pollutants and their effect on Kenya. In part one, we will start by introducing Kenya to provide context, followed by an explanation of emerging pollutants, their sources, and the risk they pose to the environment and human health. This foundational knowledge will help us understand the scope of these emerging pollutants. While in part two, we will focus on case studies of emerging pollutants in Kenya, exploring their impacts and strategies for addressing their challenges. Let's begin by briefly orienting ourselves to Kenya location. Kenya is located in East Africa along the equator and with coastal line along the Indian Ocean. It shares borders with several neighboring countries. For example, Tanzania to the south, Uganda to the west, Ethiopia and South Sudan to the north, and Somalia to the east. This strategic location not only shaped Kenya's diverse environment and rich biodiversity, but also emphasized its interconnectedness with the regional ecosystems. Kenya is a vibrant and a diverse country, known for its rich natural resources, deep cultural heritage, stunning landscapes, and natural beauty. As highlighted in these photos, Kenya's natural beauty is remarkable, from its iconic wildlife and thrilling safaris to the majestic peaks of Mount Kenya, and also the wide, soft sand beaches along its coastline. Kenya beauty attracts visitors from all corners of the world. Beyond tourism, Kenya is also a hub of technological innovation and a leader in agriculture, which makes a significant impact across Africa. Let me ask you today, how many of you have either visited Kenya or know someone who has? What aspect of their experience or your own has left the strongest impression on Kenya? While for those who haven't visited, I hope this session inspires you with a deeper appreciation for Kenya's natural beauty. Kenya covers around 580,000 square kilometers, which is about 1.5 times the size of Germany. Kenya is a diverse nation of 54 million people, representing over 45 ethnic groups. The capital city of Kenya is Nairobi, which is situated in the central region of the country, while the second largest city is Mombasa, which is located along the Indian Ocean coastline in the southern part of Kenya. Of course, we have other major cities including Kisumu, Nakuru, and Eldoret, and they are located in the western region of the country. In Kenya, there are two official languages, that is Swahili and English, with Swahili playing an important role in unifying the country's diverse cultures. Also, Kenya varies in geographical features, which include the Indian Ocean coastline to the south, in the south of Kenya, the Great Rift Valley, which is at the north of Kenya, and the Mount Kenya, which is at the central region of the Kenya, and this mountain is the Africa's second highest peak. All these natural and cultural elements are key to Kenya's identity, making it a truly unique and resilient country, both geographically and socially. After this introductory aspect of Kenya, let's now explore into the key characteristics of emerging pollutants, which are increasingly recognized as significant environmental concerns. Emerging pollutants are new or previously unmonitored contaminants such as pharmaceuticals, personal care products, and nanomaterials. These are items commonly used in our daily life but with unrecognized environmental impacts. These emerging pollutants are often occurred in trace amount in water, soil, and air, yet even small concentration can have a significant ecological and biological impacts. Many of these substances lack regulatory standards, which complicate monitoring and control. Additionally, some of these emerging pollutants are persistent, which accumulate in the environment over time and pose long-term risks. Also, these emerging pollutants have the potential to harm humans and wildlife through effects like endocrine disruption, reproductive problems, antibiotic resistance, and bioaccumulation in organisms. Therefore, addressing these pollutants is crucial due to their lasting environmental and health implications. In summary, most of the time, emerging pollutants are overlooked, but they pose serious and lasting risks to the environment and human health. Therefore, taking a proactive steps is essential to understand and reduce their impacts. Now let's look at the main sources and example of emerging pollutants. But before we discuss this, I would like to introduce our first task. I recommend you to take a 1-hour break here to study the literature on this topic. This will give you a chance to explore the topic in more depth, and there will be additional references for anyone who wants to dive further into specific of this subject. Now let's discuss the main sources of emerging pollutants. These are just 4 main sources, and they are domestic wastewater, agricultural runoff, industrial effluents, and urban runoff. For example, in domestic wastewater, a significant source of emerging pollutant comes from pharmaceuticals and personal care products. These substances often enter aquatic environments through domestic wastewater. What is troubling us is that many of these chemicals can pass through wastewater treatment largely unchanged. This means they ultimately end up contaminating our rivers, lakes, and even oceans. Agriculture plays a huge role in the spread of emerging pollutants. For example, pesticides, herbicides, and veterinary pharmaceutical use in farming can easily be washed into nearby water bodies through drainage, leading to widespread contamination in rivers and lakes. Industry also a major contributor to the spread of emerging pollutants. They can release a variety of chemicals, including emerging pollutants, through waste disposal. This includes substances like pesticides, fertilizers, hydrocarbons, phenols, plastics, and pharmaceuticals, all of which can have serious environmental and health impacts. Finally, urban areas also contribute significantly to pollution. For example, when it rains, the water runoff from the rain can easily carry microplastics, oils, heavy metals, and other contaminants from roads and infrastructure directly into the local water bodies. Therefore, these sources show us that emerging pollutants come from many everyday activities, affecting the environment and human health in ways that we are still working to understand. Looking at the environmental and health risk of emerging pollutants, these pollutants can greatly affect ecosystem and human health, focusing on 3 key areas such as ecosystem disruption, human health impacts, and antibiotic resistance. For instance, in ecosystem disruption, emerging pollutant can disrupt ecosystem by affecting the balance of species in aquatic and terrestrial environments. For example, the chemicals that enter water system can harm aquatic life, damaging their habitats and reduce their biodiversity. This can lead to long-term ecological changes and imbalances. Many of these emerging pollutants also can pose risk to human health, often in ways that we don't yet fully understand. For instance, chemicals in wastewater, like pharmaceutical, can cause endocrine disruption and also some reproductive issues or even cancer in humans. These pollutants often enter the food chain and they can further increase their impacts to humans or even animals. One of the most pressing health risks is the development of antibiotic resistance. For example, pharmaceuticals, especially antibiotics, can persist in the environment and encourage the growth of resistant bacteria. This makes it harder to treat infection, leading to a rise in drug-resistant diseases, which currently is a global health crisis. So in summary, emerging pollutants pose a significant threat not just to the environment, but also to our health and well-being, creating challenges that need immediate attention and action. And this brings us to the end of part 1 of today's lecture. To continue with this lecture, please tune to part 2. Thank you very much for your attention and active participation. I'm looking forward to see you in the second part of this lecture.